Next, please. Then an insertion of explanation is proposed in subsection 1 in column 3, whereby now penalty can be worked out on the basis of tax payable on assessment treated to have been made under section 120 of the ordinance for default committed by the taxpayer in furnishing of the return of income under section 114, statement in lieu of return of income under section 115, or wealth statement under section 116, and withholding statement under section 165 within the due date. In my humble request, already the penalties rates are very harsh, very high, and to penalize non-filing of return and by inserting an explanation, because as you all know, when there is any insertion of an explanation in the law, it implies that as if the law was always there. So if by inserting an explanation in this section, it means that whatever the pending appeals are already there, they are also going to be affected. Because so far, there are a lot of appellate orders have been finalized on the basis that tax penalty can be levied on the basis of filing of return, on the basis of the return, not on the basis of the assessment, because assessment can be higher, it can be pitched off. So I think the ICMAP can also take the cognizance of that. Then I come to the withholding of tax. आगे और आगे yes. Then I come to a very important section which relates to the withholding tax, the payment of goods and services. As we all know that section 153 deals with deduction and collection of tax at source on sale of goods, rendering of services, execution of contracts, and payments made by exporters or export house against stitching, dyeing, printing, embroidery, washing, sizing, and weaving. The section 53 has undergone a lot of changes and amendments since the promulgation of the Income Tax Ordinance 2001. And in view of above, the bill seeks to replace existing section with the newly drafted section 153. The significant changes are highlighted below. The tax deduction on the services rendered by a private limited companies has been clearly stated as a minimum tax. You all know that when the subsection 6 was inserted in 2006 in the finance bill, then entire services were brought into the presumptive regime. When then telecommunication, the ports, the human resource companies, which are huge in number and in turnover, they all went and made presentation to the finance minister that you can't bring us into the presumptive regime because the 6% is too high and our profits are very low. So the finance bill was amended, and while Finance Act was promulgated, the companies were excluded from the presumptive regime. And later on, the circular number 6 of 2009 was also issued, reaffirming that the tax deducted on the services is adjustable. So number of companies, they were having the exemption certificate which were providing the services. Now recently in last month, in 26th of April, one circular has been issued, clarification has been issued that now the services are under the minimum tax. So now to bring at rest, they have changed the law. In my humble view, the services sector's margin of profits is not so high, and they need to have on the tax to be on the normal rate, and ICMAP must give a proposal that their margin of 6% means, if you reverse that 35%, it means the 20% net profit, which cannot be a service company can give, which is not practically possible. So I think that can be given. The definition of the turnover has been provided for the purpose of AOP and individual as withholding agent. Presently, the definition of the turnover has been given in section 270A, clause 70A, whereby the turnover, I would just like to make two difference have been made in this proposed turnover definition and the previous one. The previous one definition, there was an exclusion of sales tax and the federal excise duty, whereas now the amendment has been given, the definition has been given. Now the turnover means a sale price including the sales tax and the federal excise. The another change has been made also. The previous turnover which is provided in section 113 for the purpose of the minimum tax, the turnover covered under the presumptive regime was also excluded. Now the turnover related to the presumptive regime will also be included, and this is for the purpose of withholding of tax as a withholding agent of individual in AOP. I just would like to run through that what change has been made, so it will be clear for you. The tax deducted under this section on the income of a resident person or a permanent establishment of non-resident person shall be a final tax on payment received on account of supply of goods, except payment received on account of supply of goods in respect of a company being a manufacturer of such goods, or payment received on account of sale of goods by a public company listed on the registered stock exchange in Pakistan. A minimum tax on payment received on account of the rendering or providing of services is now been made, as I explained it to you. However, it will not be applied on the advertising services of the media company, which is exempt under clause 16A of part 4th of the second schedule, and their income of the advertisement of the media will be taxed at the normal, not on the minimum tax. And the final tax on the payment received on account of the execution of contracts other than a contract for the sale of goods or the rendering of services. Let me just tell you that the non-residents contracts are also final under section 152. So it is just in parallel of that. And the final tax on payment made by the export or the export house against stitching, dyeing, embroidery, washing and sizing, as I explained it to you. However, there will be no withholding tax will be made if you are making a payment to the yarn traders. The recently SRO 333 has been issued, whereby if you are making a payment to the yarn traders, being a zero rated, so it will not be, there will be no withholding under section 153 also. So 153 will not apply on that. The another amendment has been made in section 236A, where the definition has been, the provision of this has been enlarged, and now any auction by tender will also attract 5% of the gross sale value. The next step which is government has been taken on the cash withdrawal from bank. As you know, it started from 0.1% and then 0.2% and 0.3%. In the RSE, we had a view that since because of this 0.3%, the cash money in circulation has increased to such a great high in the history of Pakistan, and it was never such a great amount in the circulation also. That one of the reason was thinking that this withholding tax is actually, which is also a 17 billion collection in account of that, but it is one of the component which is encouraging the circulation. So it was, principal decision was taken that this should be taken away. However, at the last moment, due to some budget planning, this has been reduced from 0.3% to 0.2%. In my humble view, this is half-hearted effort will not give any result, because it's hardly a 3 billion, which is going to be a revenue will be generated. Revenue will be lost, because this is adjustable tax. If you receive a 17 billion, you almost give an adjustment of about 10 billion. So remaining, comes 6 to 7 billion. So I think this half-hearted effort will not give a much impact, and I would request ICMAP to please make a note of that, and you can make a proposal for us. Then I come to the taxation of the banking companies. Presently, Rule 1C